Good morning, everyone. I am delighted to welcome you all to today's session. Today, we will be exploring the fascinating subject of the Constitution of India. My name is Mr. Kedar S. Apt, and I will be guiding you through this journey. This is part of our course with the code CI 125, and the focus for today is Unit 2, which covers principles, rights, and duties. We are here at the Institute of Management Research and Development in Sherpur. Over the next few minutes, we'll get an overview of these fundamental topics that shape our nation's legal and social framework. Let's get started. Let's begin by looking at the first part of our slide, which is the Preamble, Objectives, and Principles. This sets the foundation for understanding the Constitution's core values and guiding principles. It highlights what the Constitution aims to achieve and the fundamental ideas it is built upon. Moving on, we have fundamental rights. Think of these as the basic rights every citizen is entitled to, like the right to equality, freedom of speech, and right to life. These rights are essential because they protect individual freedoms and ensure dignity for all. Next are the directive principles of state policy. These are guidelines for the government to establish a just society. While they are not enforceable by courts, they serve as important goals for the state to aim for, like promoting social justice and economic welfare. Finally, we come to fundamental duties. These are the responsibilities that citizens should observe to uphold the spirit of the Constitution. They remind us that rights come with duties, such as respecting the Constitution, promoting harmony, and protecting the environment. Together, these elements, objectives, rights, principles, and duties, form the framework that guides our nation's governance and social harmony. They are interconnected and collectively aim to create a just, fair, and progressive society. Let's begin by understanding the core principles of the Indian Constitution and how they impact governance and democracy. These principles form the foundation of our nation's legal and political framework, guiding how power is exercised and rights are protected. Recognizing these helps us appreciate the Constitution's role in shaping a fair and just society. Next, we'll look at the fundamental rights provided to us as citizens. These rights are essential for ensuring justice, equality, and freedom. They empower individuals and act as safeguards against injustice, making sure every citizen has a voice and is treated fairly under the law. We should also consider the fundamental duties of citizens. These duties remind us of our responsibilities towards the nation, like respecting the Constitution, promoting harmony, and protecting the environment. Fulfilling these duties contributes significantly to our country's overall development and strengthens our democratic fabric. Now, it's important to differentiate between fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. While fundamental rights guarantee individual freedoms, directive principles guide the government in making policies that promote social and economic welfare. Both serve different purposes, but are equally vital for a balanced and progressive society. Let's also discuss the separation of powers, a crucial concept in our democracy. It ensures that legislative, executive, and judiciary functions are distinct, preventing any one branch from becoming too powerful. This separation helps maintain a healthy balance of authority, safeguarding our democratic principles. Moving forward, we'll interpret some key articles of the Constitution and see how they remain relevant today. These articles lay down the legal backbone for our rights, duties, and governance, and understanding them helps us see how they continue to shape modern India. Finally, we'll analyze how the Constitution fosters a society that is democratic, inclusive, and just. Through its provisions on rights, duties, and governance, it aims to uphold equality and justice for all, ensuring that India remains a vibrant and equitable nation for generations to come. So, what exactly is a preamble? Well, it's an introductory statement found at the beginning of a document, and its main purpose is to explain the document's philosophy and objectives. When we look at a constitution, the preamble is particularly important because it lays out the intentions of the framers, giving us insight into the vision behind the document. It also provides some historical context about how and why the Constitution was created. Most importantly, the preamble highlights the core values and principles that define the nation. Think of it as a brief summary that sets the tone for everything that follows. It essentially tells us a few key things. First, the source of the Constitution. That is, where it originates from. Second, the nature of the Indian state. What kind of state it is. Third, a statement of its objectives. What the Constitution aims to achieve. And finally, the date of its adoption, when it officially came into effect. Understanding these points helps us see the bigger picture of what the Constitution stands for and what the framers wanted to establish for the country. It's like a guiding light that reflects the nation's core identity and aspirations. Let's take a closer look at the history of the preamble to the Indian Constitution. The ideals behind the preamble were actually laid down by Jawaharlal Nehru through his Objectives Resolution, which was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on January 22, 1947. This was a crucial moment because it set the foundational principles for what the Constitution would stand for. Although the preamble itself isn't enforceable in a court of law, it plays an important role. It states the objectives of the Constitution clearly and acts as a guiding light when interpreting the articles, especially if their language appears ambiguous or unclear. It's also important to understand what the preamble cannot do. It can't be used directly to punish someone or to claim rights in a legal sense. But at the same time, it explains the main goals and purpose of the entire Constitution. Whenever judges face uncertainty about the meaning of a particular article, they often turn to the preamble for help. It provides the broader context and helps them understand the true intention behind the legal provisions. In essence, the preamble is like the Constitution's guiding philosophy. It helps us grasp the core values and aspirations that the Constitution aims to achieve. Let's take a closer look at the components of the preamble. As indicated, the preamble highlights that the source of the Constitution's authority comes from the people of India themselves. This is a powerful statement, emphasizing that sovereignty resides with the citizens, not any external authority. The preamble also declares India to be a sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic. Each of these words carries significant meaning. Sovereign means India has full independence and control over its affairs. Socialist indicates a commitment to social equality and welfare. Secular shows that India does not favor any religion and respects all faiths. And democratic republic means that the power ultimately rests with the people through elected representatives. Moving on, the preamble states the main objectives of the Constitution. These are to secure justice, meaning social, economic, and political justice for all citizens, to ensure liberty, freedom of thought, expression, belief, and action, to promote equality so everyone has equal opportunities and rights, and to foster fraternity, which is about brotherhood and unity among all Indians, helping to maintain the nation's integrity. Finally, the preamble mentions the date when the Constitution was adopted, November 26, 1949. This marks the day India officially began its journey as a sovereign nation with a written constitution that reflects these core values. So, in essence, the preamble sets the foundation for the entire Constitution and underscores the principles on which our nation is built. This slide is about the source of authority of the Constitution. It explains where the Constitution derives its power from. When we say, "We, the people of India," it emphasizes that the authority of the Constitution comes directly from the people, not from any king or ruler. This is a very important point because it shows that India's democracy is built on the consent of its citizens. The phrase highlights that the power is rooted in the people's will. The Constitution is a social contract, and it's the people who give it legitimacy. Now, the preamble, which is like the introduction to the Constitution, has four main components. Today, we're focusing on the idea that the Constitution's authority is derived from the people, which connects to the overall theme of democracy and sovereignty in our country. So remember, the key takeaway here is that India's Constitution is a reflection of the people's will, establishing their authority and sovereignty as the foundation of our democracy. Let's take a closer look at the nature of the Indian state. This slide explains what kind of country India is at its core. First, India is declared a sovereign nation, which means it is an independent country with full control over its affairs. Next, India is considered a socialist country, emphasizing social and economic equality, aiming to reduce disparities and promote social justice. Then we see that India is secular, meaning it does not have an official religion, and it respects all faiths equally. Moving on, India is a democratic country, where the government is chosen by the people through elections, ensuring that citizens have a voice in their leadership. Finally, India is a republic, which indicates that the head of state is elected, not appointed or hereditary. Connecting these points to our overall theme, understanding the nature of the Indian state helps us appreciate how these principles shape India's policies and identity as a nation. It's a country built on independence, equality, inclusivity, and democratic values. Now let's look at the objectives of the Constitution as outlined in the Preamble. It clearly states the goals that the Constitution aims to achieve for our nation. First, justice. This isn't just about courts and laws, but also social, economic, and political justice. It means ensuring fairness and equality in all aspects of life. Next is liberty, which encompasses freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. This highlights the importance of individual freedom in shaping a progressive society. Then we have equality, emphasizing equal status and opportunity for everyone, regardless of background or social standing. This is fundamental for creating a fair and inclusive nation. And finally, fraternity, which stands for brotherhood, unity, and integrity. It reminds us that despite our differences, we are part of one big family, working together for the common good. Moving on to the date of adoption, the Constitution was adopted on the 26th of November, 1949. This date marks a significant milestone in our history, symbolizing the beginning of a new era based on these core principles. All these points, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, are interconnected and form the foundation of our national identity. They guide us in building a just, free, and united society. Let's take a closer look at the key words in the Preamble. First, we, the people of India. This phrase emphasizes the ultimate sovereignty of the people of India. Sovereignty here means that India has its own independent authority, not subject to control from any other country or external power. It highlights that the power truly lies with the people. Next, the word sovereign itself means that India is an independent nation. It's not a dominion or a colony of any other country, but has its own complete authority to make laws and decisions. Moving on, socialist indicates that India aims to achieve social and economic equality through democratic means. It supports a mixed economy, where both private businesses and public sectors work together to serve the nation's needs. Then we have secular. This means that India respects and supports all religions equally. No religion is given special privileges over others, and the state ensures protection and support for every faith. Now, democratic signifies that the Constitution of India derives its authority from the will of the people. It's a government of the people, by the people, for the people, where leaders are elected through free and fair elections. Finally, republic tells us that the head of the state is elected by the people. In India, this is the president, who is chosen by the citizens through elections, reinforcing the democratic nature of our nation. Together, these words form the foundation of our Constitution and reflect the core principles that guide our nation's identity and governance. Let's take a closer look at the objectives of the Indian Constitution. As you can see, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It plays a crucial role in maintaining integrity within our society and fostering unity among all citizens. When we talk about building a great nation, this unity becomes even more essential. The main goal here is to promote harmony throughout the entire country. Achieving this harmony isn't accidental. There are specific factors that help us reach this objective. Understanding these factors is key to appreciating how our Constitution guides us towards a more unified and harmonious society. justice is a fundamental pillar in maintaining order within our society. It's about ensuring that everyone's rights are protected and that fairness prevails across different aspects of life. The Constitution of India guarantees this through various provisions, including fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. Now, justice isn't just one thing. It actually comprises three key elements: social, economic, and political justice. Each of these plays a vital role in creating a balanced and equitable society. Let's start with social justice. Essentially, social justice aims to eliminate discrimination based on factors like caste, creed, gender, religion, or any other ground. The idea is to build a society where everyone is treated equally, and no one faces unfair barriers due to their background. Moving on to economic justice. This is about ensuring that economic disparities don't lead to discrimination. No person should be judged or disadvantaged because of their wealth, income, or economic status. Everyone deserves equal pay for equal work, and opportunities to earn a livelihood should be accessible to all, regardless of their economic background. And finally, political justice. This element emphasizes that all citizens should have an equal right to participate in political processes. It's about fairness, freedom, and ensuring that no one is excluded or discriminated against when it comes to political opportunities and decision-making. When we look at justice as a whole, it's about creating a society where social, economic, and political dimensions are all rooted in fairness and equality. This connects deeply with the overall theme of building a just and inclusive nation, where every individual's rights are respected and protected. Let's now explore the core principles that form the foundation of a harmonious society: equality, liberty, and fraternity. When we talk about equality, we're emphasizing that no section of society should have any special privileges. Everyone should have equal opportunities for education, work, and participation in society, without facing discrimination. Most importantly, all individuals are equal before the law, meaning no one is above it, regardless of their background. Next, liberty is about freedom. Freedom for people to choose their own way of life, to hold their political views, and to express themselves in society. But it's crucial to remember that liberty isn't absolute. It doesn't mean doing anything you want without limits. It's about exercising your freedom within the boundaries set by law, ensuring that your freedom doesn't infringe on others' rights. And then we have fraternity, which is all about brotherhood and emotional unity. It's the feeling of attachment to your country and fellow citizens. Fraternity helps foster dignity and unity, reminding us that despite our differences, we're all part of one nation. Together, these principles, equality, liberty, and fraternity, are essential for building a society based on justice, freedom, and brotherhood, aligning with our overall goal of creating a united and inclusive nation. Today, I will explain the key principles of the preamble of our Constitution. First, sovereign. This means that India is fully independent, with the supreme power to make its own decisions, both inside the country and in its relations with other nations, without outside interference. It highlights our complete freedom in shaping our destiny. Next is socialist. The idea here is that the state works to reduce economic inequality. It aims to ensure a fair distribution of wealth and resources so that all citizens can enjoy a decent quality of life. Social justice and equality are fundamental to this principle. Then, secular. This means that our government has no official religion and treats all religions equally. No discrimination is made based on religious beliefs, and everyone's religious rights are respected. It promotes harmony and unity among diverse communities. Moving on to democratic. This principle emphasizes that our government is elected by the people through free and fair elections. It's accountable to the citizens, meaning the people have the power to choose their leaders and hold them responsible. Finally, republic. Here, the head of the state, the president, is elected by the people's representatives, not inherited through a monarchy. This ensures that our leadership is based on the will of the people, reflecting the democratic spirit of the nation. Together, these principles form the foundation of our Constitution, guiding us towards a just, free, and inclusive society. Fundamental rights are the basic rights that are guaranteed to all citizens by our Constitution of India. They form the core of our democratic setup and ensure that every individual's dignity and freedom are protected. These rights are listed in Part III of the Constitution, specifically in Articles 12 to 35. Their primary purpose is to protect us from the misuse of power by the state, ensuring that government authorities do not infringe upon our freedoms unfairly. And importantly, these rights are not just theoretical, they can be enforced in court. If anyone's rights are violated, we have legal recourse to defend ourselves. We call them fundamental because they are essential for the development of each person's personality and for the functioning of a healthy democracy. Without these rights, individual growth and democratic values could be compromised. So, in essence, these rights are the foundation upon which a free and fair society is built. Fundamental rights are important because they serve as the foundation for a just and fair society. They protect individual freedom, ensuring that each person has the liberty to think, speak, and act without unnecessary interference. At the same time, these rights promote equality, making sure everyone is treated fairly regardless of their background or status. They also safeguard minorities, preventing the majority from oppressing those with different views or identities. Fundamental rights prevent arbitrary government action, meaning that the government cannot just act on whims or personal biases. This helps keep power in check and maintains a balance. They also strengthen democracy by empowering citizens to participate freely and equally in political life. Moreover, these rights ensure the rule of law, meaning that everyone is subject to the same laws and protections. Ultimately, they create a delicate balance between individual liberty and social order, helping us build a society that respects personal freedoms while maintaining harmony. In essence, fundamental rights are crucial because they uphold our dignity and freedom, while also promoting social fairness and stability. They are the cornerstone of a democratic society where everyone's rights matter. Fundamental rights are guaranteed by the Constitution, specifically mentioned in Part III. This means that these rights are officially recognized and protected by our fundamental law. They are also justiciable, which is a legal term meaning that if someone's rights are violated, they can approach the courts to seek justice and enforcement. So, these rights are enforceable in a court of law. Most of these rights are available against the state, meaning they primarily serve to protect individuals from actions taken by the government or its agencies. However, it's important to understand that these rights are not absolute. They can be subject to reasonable restrictions. For example, certain rights may be limited to maintain public order or national security. Additionally, these rights can be suspended during an emergency, except for some fundamental rights like Article 20 and 21, which offer protection even during such times. Lastly, fundamental rights are amendable, meaning the Constitution can be changed to alter or add to these rights. But of course, any amendments cannot violate the basic structure of the Constitution, which ensures the core principles remain intact. So, in summary, fundamental rights are designed to protect individual freedom, are legally enforceable, adaptable through amendments, but also balanced with reasonable restrictions to ensure societal order. Now, let's take a closer look at the fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution, specifically Articles 12 to 35 in Part III. These articles lay down 6 essential rights that ensure the freedom and equality of every citizen. First, we have the right to equality, covered in Articles 14 to 18, which guarantees that all individuals are equal before the law and prohibits discrimination. Next is the right to freedom, in Articles 19 to 22, which includes freedoms such as speech, movement, and the right to practice any profession. Then, there's the right against exploitation, found in Articles 23 and 24, which aims to prevent forced labor, human trafficking, and child labor. Moving on, we have the right to freedom of religion, in Articles 25 to 28, ensuring religious freedom and the right to practice, profess, and propagate one's faith. The cultural and educational rights, covered in Articles 29 and 30, protect the rights of minorities to conserve their culture, language, and educational institutions. Lastly, the right to constitutional remedies, in Article 32, allows citizens to approach the Supreme Court if their fundamental rights are violated. These rights form the backbone of our democracy, safeguarding individual freedoms while connecting to the broader theme of protecting citizens' rights in a democratic society. Let's talk about the right to equality, which is covered in Articles 14 to 18. This is a fundamental right that ensures everyone is treated equally, no matter what their religion, gender, caste, race, or place of birth is. It's a very important part of the Indian Constitution because it promotes fairness and justice for all citizens. Moving on to the right to freedom, covered in Articles 19 to 22. Freedom is a core value in any democratic society, and the Indian Constitution guarantees several freedoms to its citizens. These include the freedom of speech and expression, which allows us to share our ideas openly. The freedom of assembly without arms means we can gather peacefully for protests or meetings. The freedom to form associations helps us come together for common interests. The right to practice any profession gives us the liberty to choose our careers. Lastly, the freedom to reside anywhere in the country ensures we can live wherever we want. These rights are essential because they connect to the overall theme of ensuring individual liberty and equality, which are the foundation of a healthy democracy. Understanding these rights helps us appreciate the freedoms we enjoy and the importance of safeguarding them. Now, let's discuss the right against exploitation, which is covered in Articles 23 to 24. This right essentially prohibits any form of trafficking in human beings, bigar, or forced labor. It's a fundamental safeguard to protect individuals from being exploited or forced into labor against their will. It also emphasizes that children should not be employed in factories or other hazardous environments. In fact, the Constitution specifically prohibits the employment of children under the age of 14 in dangerous conditions, ensuring their safety and well-being. Moving on, the next important right is the right to freedom of religion, outlined in Articles 25 to 28. This right highlights the secular nature of our Indian polity. It ensures that all religions are treated with equal respect and importance. People have the freedom of conscience, their personal belief, and the right to freely profess, practice, and propagate their religion. The state itself has no official religion, which reinforces our secular ethos. Every individual has the right to practice their faith freely and to establish religious or charitable institutions to support their beliefs. Together, these rights form a core part of our constitutional framework, promoting dignity, equality, and religious harmony across India. Now, let's talk about the next set of rights in our Constitution, starting with the cultural and educational rights, which are covered in Articles 29 to 30. These rights are really important because they protect the rights of religious, cultural, and linguistic minorities. Essentially, they help these groups preserve their unique heritage and culture without fear of losing their identity. Additionally, the educational rights ensure that education is accessible to everyone, regardless of their background or social status. The key idea here is non-discrimination, making sure that no one is denied the right to education just because of who they are. Moving on to the right to constitutional remedies, which are covered in Articles 32 to 35. This is a very powerful part of our Constitution because it guarantees that if anyone's fundamental rights are violated, they have a way to seek justice. The government can't just infringe upon or curtail these rights without consequences. If someone's rights are violated, they can approach the courts for help. And importantly, they can even go directly to the Supreme Court, which has the authority to issue writs to enforce those fundamental rights. This ensures that the rights are protected and that citizens have a clear legal remedy when those rights are threatened. So, these provisions really reinforce the idea that our Constitution not only grants rights, but also provides the mechanisms to safeguard and enforce them, maintaining a balance of power and justice in our society. Now, let's look at Part IV of the Constitution, which contains the directive principles of state policy. These are essentially fundamental principles designed to guide the functioning of the state. Their main goal is to help establish an economic and social democracy in India. Think of these principles as a set of guidelines given to the government, almost like a blueprint, to help shape laws and policies. Their ultimate aim is to create a society where social and economic justice are prioritized, and where India becomes a welfare state that cares for all its citizens. All these state policy directives are included in Articles 36 to 51 of the Constitution. They are collectively known as the Directive Principles of State Policy, or DPSP for short. While they are not enforceable by the courts, they hold significant moral and constitutional weight. They serve as a compass for policymaking, ensuring that the government's actions align with the broader vision of social justice and economic equality. In the overall context of our presentation, these principles reflect the Constitution's commitment to building a fair and equitable society, something that underpins the very foundation of India's democratic framework. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the key provisions outlined in these articles. Starting with Article 38, it emphasizes the importance of promoting the welfare of the people, which is fundamental to any democratic society. Moving on to Article 39, it focuses on ensuring equal livelihood opportunities and equal pay for all, along with protections for children, highlighting social justice and fairness. Next, Article 40 talks about organizing village panchayats, which are local self-government bodies, crucial for grassroots democracy. Article 41 guarantees the right to work, education, and public assistance, reinforcing the state's role in supporting basic needs. Then we have Article 42, which aims to establish just and humane working conditions, including maternity relief, ensuring dignity and fairness at the workplace. Article 43 advocates for a living wage for workers, emphasizing economic security. Moving to Article 44, it calls for a uniform civil code, promoting consistency in personal laws across the country. Article 45 highlights the importance of early childhood care and education, laying the foundation for lifelong development. Articles 46 and 47 focus on uplifting weaker sections of society and improving public health, respectively, both vital for social equity and well-being. Article 48 discusses modernizing agriculture and animal husbandry, which are key sectors for our economy and food security. Finally, Articles 50 and 51 address the separation of judiciary from the executive to ensure independence and fairness, and the promotion of international peace and security, reflecting our country's commitment to global stability. Overall, these provisions collectively aim to build a just, equitable, and progressive society, aligning with the broader goals of our Constitution. Let's take a closer look at socialist principles. The main aim here is to establish economic and social equality. This means working towards a society where everyone has fair opportunities and resources. Some key examples include equal pay for equal work, which ensures that no one is unfairly compensated based on gender or other factors. The right to work, education, and public assistance is also fundamental, making sure that basic needs are accessible to all. Protection of workers is another crucial aspect, safeguarding their rights and ensuring safe working conditions. Additionally, the distribution of wealth for the common good helps reduce disparities and promotes social harmony. Finally, protecting children and youth is vital, as they are the future of society. These principles guide us towards a more just and equitable system. Now, connecting this to the overall theme, these socialist principles form a core part of the broader vision for social justice and equality that underpins our constitutional framework. Gandhian principles are rooted in the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi, and they emphasize the importance of promoting rural development and self-reliance. When we think about these principles, we see a focus on empowering villages to become self-sufficient and resilient. For example, the organization of village panchayats plays a crucial role, as it encourages local governance and community participation. Promoting cottage industries is another key aspect, which helps create livelihood opportunities within villages while preserving traditional crafts. Additionally, these principles advocate for the promotion of educational and economic interests of weaker sections of society, ensuring that no one is left behind. Lastly, the protection of cows and milch animals highlights Gandhi's emphasis on rural economy and sustainable living. Overall, these principles tie back to the broader goal of building a self-reliant and harmonious rural society. Liberal, intellectual principles are really about promoting core values that support a fair and peaceful society. When we talk about these principles, we're emphasizing the importance of upholding liberal values and working towards international peace. For example, one key aspect is implementing a uniform civil code for citizens, which aims to create a single, consistent set of personal laws that apply to everyone, regardless of religion or community. This helps promote equality and social harmony. Another important principle is the separation of judiciary from the executive. This means ensuring that the judiciary remains independent, free from political influence, so that justice is administered fairly and impartially. We also need to provide free legal aid, making sure that everyone, regardless of their economic status, has access to justice. This is essential for a truly equitable society. Promotion of international peace and security is another crucial goal. By engaging in diplomatic efforts and fostering peaceful relations, we contribute to global stability. Finally, protecting monuments and sites of national importance helps preserve our cultural heritage and national identity, reinforcing our collective pride and history. All these points tie into the broader theme of building a society rooted in justice, equality, and peace, both within our nation and in the world at large. Let's now look at how the Indian Constitution defines the term state in Article 12. Essentially, it includes not just the government and parliament of India, but also the governments and legislatures of each individual state. Additionally, it covers all local or other authorities within the territory of India or under the control of the Indian government. This broad definition is important because it clarifies who falls under the reach of constitutional rights and obligations. Understanding this helps us see how the Constitution ensures that both central and state authorities, along with local bodies, are accountable and operate within the constitutional framework. This connects to our overall theme of how the Constitution maintains the balance of power and authority across different levels of government in India. On this slide, we're looking at an important principle regarding the provisions in this part of the law. It states that these provisions shall not be enforced by any court. In other words, they are not direct laws that courts can impose or punish for violations. However, the key point here is that the principles themselves are still very fundamental. They play a crucial role in guiding the governance of the country. This means that, even if they are not enforceable as laws, they serve as a moral and constitutional foundation. It is the duty of the state to apply these principles when making laws and policies. So, essentially, these principles shape the legal framework and the way laws are crafted, ensuring they align with the core values and objectives of the nation. This underscores an important idea. Not everything that guides a country's governance is necessarily enforceable in a court of law, but that doesn't make it any less important. These principles influence the overall legal and political environment, helping to keep the country's governance aligned with its fundamental values. On this slide, we're looking at a fundamental principle that guides our nation's governance. The first point emphasizes that the state shall actively strive to promote the welfare of the people. This means that the government's primary goal is to create a social order where justice, whether social, economic, or political, becomes the foundation of all institutions in our national life. Justice here isn't just about laws. It's about fairness and equality embedded in every aspect of society. The second key point highlights the importance of minimizing income inequalities and working to eliminate disparities in status, facilities, and opportunities. This isn't just about individual fairness, but also about ensuring that different groups, whether based on location or vocation, have equal chances to succeed. Overall, this article underscores the government's role in fostering a fair and equitable society, one where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, and justice informs our collective progress. It ties into the broader theme of building a just and inclusive nation. Let's take a closer look at some key principles that the state is expected to follow. First, it emphasizes that every citizen, whether man or woman, has the right to an adequate means of livelihood. This means that employment opportunities should be accessible and sufficient to support a decent life for all. Next, it highlights the importance of equal pay for equal work, regardless of gender. This is a fundamental step toward fairness and gender equality in the workplace, ensuring that women are not paid less than men for doing the same job. Finally, the principle underscores the need to protect the health and strength of workers, both men and women. It also stresses that children should not be exploited or put to work in ways that harm their development. Citizens should not be forced by economic hardship to take on jobs that are unsuitable for their age or physical capacity. All of these points connect to the overall theme of ensuring dignity, fairness, and well-being for every individual in society, which is at the core of good governance and social justice. Now, let's talk about how the state is responsible for organizing village panchayats and empowering them with the necessary powers and authority. The idea here is that local self-governance is essential for effective administration and development at the grassroots level. Specifically, Article 40 emphasizes that the state shall take active steps to organize these village panchayats properly. This means establishing clear structures and functions so they can operate efficiently. It's important to highlight that giving village panchayats sufficient powers and authority is crucial. It enables them to function as true units of self-government, making decisions that directly impact their communities. This approach aligns with the overall theme of decentralization and empowering local bodies, which aims to promote democratic participation and improve governance from the bottom up. So, in essence, the Constitution envisions a system where villages are not just administrative units, but are empowered to take charge of their development, fostering greater local engagement and accountability. Now, let's take a closer look at Article 41. It emphasizes that the state has a responsibility, within its economic capacity and development, to ensure that essential rights are protected for everyone. Specifically, it highlights the right to work, access to education, and public assistance in times of need. These needs include unemployment, old age, sickness, disablement, and other situations where individuals might face undeserved hardship. The key point here is that the state must actively work to provide support and opportunities for its citizens, especially during difficult times. This ties into the overall theme of ensuring social justice and economic fairness, making sure that no one is left behind simply because they face challenges beyond their control. It's about creating a safety net and equal opportunities for all. Fundamental duties are essentially the moral obligations that every citizen of India should follow. They play a crucial role in promoting patriotism and helping to maintain the unity of our diverse nation. These duties are included in Article 51A of the Constitution of India, which highlights their importance. Interestingly, the idea was inspired by the Constitution of the former USSR, which also emphasized civic responsibilities. They were added to our Constitution through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, reflecting our commitment to fostering responsible citizenship. The relevant legal provisions are found in Part IVA, specifically in Article 51A initially. There were 10 duties outlined, but later one more was added, making it 11 in total. These fundamental duties serve as moral compasses that guide citizens' behavior and attitudes towards the nation. They are not just legal obligations, but also a reminder of our role in building a strong, united India. Throughout this presentation, we've been focusing on how individual responsibilities contribute to the larger goal of national integrity and progress. Let's talk about the fundamental duties that every citizen of India must follow. First and foremost, every citizen should respect the Constitution, the national flag, and the national anthem. These are symbols of our unity and identity. It's also important to follow the ideals of the freedom struggle, because they remind us of the sacrifices made for our independence. Protecting the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India is essential. Our country's strength depends on it. When needed, we should be ready to defend our country, showing loyalty and patriotism. Promoting harmony and brotherhood helps maintain peace and understanding among all communities. We must also preserve our rich cultural heritage, which is a vital part of our identity. Protecting the environment, forests, rivers, and wildlife is crucial for our planet's health and sustainability. Developing a scientific temper and humanism encourages us to think logically and compassionately. Safeguarding public property shows respect for shared resources and infrastructure. Striving for excellence in everything we do pushes us to be better citizens and contributors to society. Additionally, providing education opportunities to children between 6 and 14 years ensures their growth and the future of our nation. These duties are interconnected and help us build a stronger, more united India. Citizens must follow the ideals and institutions of the Constitution. This means respecting the fundamental principles that guide our nation and support our democracy. It's about understanding and upholding the rule of law, justice, and equality for all. Showing respect to the national flag and national anthem is also essential. These symbols represent our country's history, values, and unity. When we observe the flag and sing the anthem, we demonstrate our patriotism and pride. It's important to avoid insulting national symbols because they embody our collective identity. Respecting the Constitution, the flag, and the anthem helps strengthen our sense of national unity and pride. Remember, these acts of respect are fundamental to being responsible and engaged citizens. They tie into the overall theme of building a respectful and harmonious society. Citizens should remember the sacrifices of freedom fighters who dedicated their lives to our independence. These brave individuals faced many hardships so that we could enjoy the freedom we have today. It's important to honor their efforts and keep their spirit alive in our hearts. We should also follow core values like truth, nonviolence, equality, and patriotism. These principles are the foundation of a strong and united nation. Living by these values helps us build a more just and compassionate society. Respecting movements led by leaders like Mahatma Gandhi is also crucial. Their leadership and commitment to peaceful change teach us the power of nonviolent resistance and moral courage. Finally, we must follow the ideals of the freedom struggle in our everyday lives. By doing so, we contribute to the ongoing development of our nation and uphold the spirit of those who fought for our independence. Remember, it's about keeping their legacy alive through our actions and attitudes. Citizens have a crucial role to play in safeguarding our country. First and foremost, we must protect the independence of our nation, ensuring that no external or internal forces threaten our sovereignty. It's also important that we prevent activities that could divide us, because unity is the foundation of a strong and resilient nation. Promoting national unity means coming together beyond divisions of caste, religion, or region, and working towards a common goal. Ultimately, our collective efforts help protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India, which are the pillars of our nation's strength and progress. Remember, each of us has a responsibility to uphold these values for the betterment of our country. Citizens should be ready to serve the nation during times of war or emergencies. It's important that we all understand our role in supporting the country when the need arises. This could mean joining the armed forces or providing national service if called upon. Being prepared to defend the country when required is a key responsibility for every citizen. Ultimately, our collective effort helps maintain peace, safety, and stability for everyone. Remember, our readiness and willingness to serve are essential components of a strong, resilient nation. Citizens have a vital role to play in maintaining the unity and integrity of our diverse nation. It's essential that we work to keep peace among people of different religions, languages, and cultures. This diversity is what makes India unique, and fostering harmony is key to our collective progress. We should also be mindful to avoid discrimination and prevent communal conflicts. These conflicts can tear apart the social fabric we've worked so hard to build. Instead, We should see everyone as an equal and treat all Indians as brothers and sisters. By promoting harmony and brotherhood, we reinforce the spirit of unity that underpins our nation's strength. When we come together with understanding and respect, we truly embody the idea of India as a land of unity in diversity. This is not just a moral obligation, but a foundation for a peaceful and prosperous future for everyone. Citizens should take an active role in protecting India's rich cultural traditions, monuments, and arts. It's important that we respect the diverse customs and practices across our country, recognizing the unique identities that make India so vibrant. Preserving historical sites like the Taj Mahal and Red Fort is not just about safeguarding beautiful landmarks, but about maintaining a connection to our history and heritage. By doing so, we help preserve our cultural legacy for future generations. Ultimately, protecting our cultural heritage is a collective responsibility that strengthens our national identity and pride. Citizens must take responsibility for protecting our environment. This means actively working to prevent pollution in all its forms, whether it's waste in our streets or harmful emissions. Saving water and natural resources is also crucial. Simple habits like turning off taps and using resources wisely can make a big difference. We should also prioritize protecting forests and wildlife, ensuring that our natural ecosystems remain healthy and vibrant for future generations. Keeping our surroundings clean is another key point. Littering or neglect only harms our environment and quality of life. Ultimately, by working together to protect our environment, forests, rivers, and wildlife, we help preserve the beauty and health of our planet for everyone. Citizens should think logically and scientifically, meaning we need to approach problems and questions with reason and evidence. This helps us make better decisions and understand the world more clearly. It's also important to avoid superstitions, which are often based on beliefs rather than facts, so that we rely on knowledge rather than unfounded fears or myths. Promoting curiosity, innovation, and research is crucial because it drives progress and helps us find new solutions to challenges. Showing compassion and respect for others fosters a harmonious society where everyone feels valued and understood. Overall, developing a scientific temper and humanism means balancing a rational approach with empathy, which is essential for personal growth and a better community. These qualities align with our broader goal of creating informed, respectful, and innovative citizens. Now, let's talk about the importance of safeguarding public property. Citizens have a crucial role here. First, it's essential that we protect government property such as buses, trains, and schools. These are vital resources that serve the entire community. Next, during protests or any public demonstrations, we must be careful not to damage public assets. Preserving these assets shows respect for our shared resources and helps maintain order and safety. Finally, we should view public property as a form of national wealth. It's not just infrastructure, it's a reflection of our collective effort and responsibility. Treating it with care is part of our duty as responsible citizens and contributes to the well-being of our society. Overall, safeguarding public property connects to the larger theme of respect and responsibility in building a strong, united community. Citizens should really focus on working hard in all fields. Whether it's education, sports, science, or any area, dedication is key. We should always aim for continuous improvement, never settling, always pushing ourselves to be better. This mindset helps us grow individually and as a nation. By contributing to education, sports, science, and other areas, we help our country achieve greater success. Every effort counts, and when we all strive for excellence, we create a stronger, more vibrant society. Remember, excellence isn't just about individual achievement, it's about collective progress. So let's keep these principles in mind. Work hard, strive for continuous growth, and support our nation's endeavors. That's how we can truly make a difference and reach our fullest potential. Now, let's talk about the role of parents and guardians in supporting children's education. It's essential that they provide schooling for children between the ages of 6 and 14. This is a critical period for learning and development. Ensuring children receive basic education is a fundamental responsibility because it lays the foundation for their future success. By providing these educational opportunities, parents help children build essential skills and knowledge that will serve them throughout their lives. Remember, supporting access to education for this age group is not just about fulfilling a duty. It's about empowering children to reach their full potential and contributing to a stronger, more educated community. Now, let's take a closer look at the key differences between the DPSP and fundamental duties. Starting with their meaning, the DPSP, or Directive Principles of State Policy, are essentially guidelines for the government to follow in order to establish a just and equitable society. On the other hand, fundamental duties are the duties of citizens, reminding us of our responsibilities towards the nation. Moving on to their placement in the Constitution, the DPSP are part of Part IV, which outlines the principles guiding the state's policy. Fundamental duties, however, are included in Part IVA, emphasizing individual responsibilities. Regarding the articles, the DPSP are covered under Articles 36 to 51, while the fundamental duties are specified in Article 51A. It's important to note that both these provisions are not enforceable by law, meaning they are more about guiding principles rather than legally binding obligations. Finally, their overarching purpose differs. The DPSP aim to promote a welfare state, guiding the government to create social and economic justice. Fundamental duties, meanwhile, are about fostering responsible citizenship, encouraging individuals to contribute positively to the nation's progress. So, while both are vital parts of our Constitution, they serve different roles, one guiding the state's policies and the other reminding citizens of their responsibilities. Understanding this helps us see how the Constitution balances state functions with individual duties.